Hey everyone, I'm Dave, and today we're making the world's best white chicken chili. Well, at least according to Google. I'm not actually sure if it'll be the world's best. On this channel, we try it out though. We look up the world's best recipes. We try to cook them as non-professional cooks, just doing our best, and we see how they come out. So let's go ahead and look up world's best white chicken chili and see what we get. Okay, so it looks like the #1 recipe being recommended to me is from cookingclassy.com. It's got 5 stars, 782 ratings, so that's pretty impressive. It's gotta be good, right? 5 stars with that many ratings. I haven't had a lot of white chicken chilies. I usually go beef, but I figured I'd try something new today, so we're gonna see how it turns out. So we got a couple things we gotta do as far as prep work. We gotta get a small onion diced, chop up some garlic, so let's start there. All right, so we're gonna start off with our onion, and this is just a general chopping of an onion. There's nothing special I'm doing here. Oh, that doesn't seem sharp. This was sharp last time I used it. So all we're gonna do is dice this up. This is gonna go into the chili. Let me take the skin off first. That's usually useful. It's a really nice day to be cooking. I'm outside in the backyard. It's probably 75 degrees, kind of perfect, especially in the shade here. Out in the sun, it gets a little toasty today, but all in all, it's pretty good. I know you're not here for the weather report, guys. That's not really what I do here. I just was like thinking in my head about the weather, and I figured I'd give you an update in case you care. But I've got a couple chili videos if you like chili. I did a world's best recipe where I Googled the best chili, and to me it wasn't the world's best chili. So I decided to make another video where it was just my favorite chili recipe. And you can find that on this channel as well. And now we're doing white chicken chili. So we're gonna have all different types of chili on the channel. I think that's kind of cool, give you options. So I would say my biggest exposure to white chicken chili has been like chili cook-offs. Like it's not something I've made or my family has made, but I've had it in chili cook-offs. And I really don't know that I've seen it in restaurants much either. But in chili cook-offs, there's always that like one person who decides to do the white chicken chili. It never wins, let's be real. It's up against beef, which if you hate beef, I guess maybe this would be an alternative. But usually when I go to those chili cook-offs, the beef stuff wins. I've never actually entered one of those contests myself, but I think it would be kind of fun to do. All right, we also need some garlic. This garlic looks weird. I guess it's fine. How many cloves do we need? 4? No, 2. Are you like me? Whenever it says 2, you do 3. Whenever it says 1, you do 2. All right, I'll just do 2. I'm gonna follow this recipe exactly so we can see if it really is the world's best white chicken chili. Just squish it down here first and then get the shell off. It's not a shell, whatever you call it. The skin? Yeah, the skin. Now I sound like Hannibal Lecter. This one has seen better days. Good enough. So just want to chop up our garlic, or you can use a garlic press if you have one. I do have one. It's sitting in my kitchen, and here I am chopping anyways, because that's just how I roll. All right, so there's our 2 cloves of chopped. Someone told me the reason you use a bench scraper, which is like this thing to move around your food on your cutting board, is so you don't dull your knife. And so now as I'm doing this, I'm realizing I do this with my knife a lot, which probably does dull it. So I was like, maybe I just do it backwards. Is that what people do to move stuff around on their cutting board? I don't know. That could work. All right, so what we wanna do now is we wanna saute the garlic and the onions. That's kind of a big piece. Over on our pot here. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna move the camera to over there. We're gonna put some oil in there, get the heat going, and saute these. All right, so we're over here at the stove little area. I do this all outdoors. We're gonna put a little olive oil in this little pot I've got set up. My Le Creuset, I say it wrong. The French cast iron thingy is on here. I don't want it too hot. It feels like it's a little too hot, so I'm gonna bring my heat down, maybe medium. All right, so the olive oil's heated up a little bit. Next step is gonna be to add the onions. Smells really good. Now I probably would want a wooden spoon to kind of move these around, but it's all right because I've got this plastic one I can use. 4 minutes it says in the oil, and then we're gonna add in the garlic. And then a bunch of other ingredients are gonna come super fast, so make sure you're paying attention. A lot of times I like to prep and measure everything before, but I'm just feeling in a seat of your pants kind of mood where I'm just gonna go with it, and we're gonna see how it goes. I'm not a professional cook. I like to say that every time I record an episode of this. This is really supposed to be a cooking show where there is mistakes that happen. There's issues that arise. There's issues reading the instructions sometimes. Maybe I miss a step, but it's a little bit more relatable. It's more like how you may cook at home. Well, you probably cook better than I cook at home, which, you know, I guess just watch it to make yourself feel good about how you cook. That's another option. All right, just moving these around a little. And I already see a mistake I made. So when I ordered this food, I ordered diced green chilies. This is only 4 ounces though, and apparently you need 7. So we're gonna be a little light on the diced green chilies. I don't think it's the end of the world. It might just be a little less diced green chilies. I'll just make sure when I test it and do my bite, because at the end I'm gonna test it and see if it really is the best I've ever had. I'll make sure to get some green chilies in the bite so I, can get that flavor too. But it does look like I don't really have enough. You're supposed to use 7 ounces of diced green chilies. I only have 4. Close. Okay, hopefully I didn't burn the onions. I realized I forgot something in the house. Oh no, they're still fine. My heat's not set super high, so they seem fine. They're turning translucent at this point. The thing I forgot was the chicken. This is chicken chili, you need chicken. Now, the recipe itself actually calls for pre-cooked chicken. And it says you can pre-cook the chicken however you want. Their favorite way in the recipe is to get a rotisserie chicken and just use the meat off of that. And since we're trying to do the recipe exactly as they stated, I've ordered a rotisserie chicken, and here it is from Publix. It's a beautiful thing, little chicken. I probably won't put the skin in it. I'll probably just do the chicken meat itself, but that means I've got to take the skin off and then pull all the chicken meat out, which isn't a big deal. And the onions continue to turn translucent. You could do this ahead of time. I just didn't think of it. So get some cooked chicken. Honestly, just eat the chicken too. That's good too. But yeah, I'm just feeling like doing this by the seat of my pants. So this has cooked for about 4 or 5 minutes. It's translucent. I'm gonna add in the garlic for 30 seconds, and then we're gonna add in the chicken broth after that. All right, here's our garlic. Remember we chopped it up earlier, put that in there and let it get fragrant for 30 seconds. I'm just gonna kind of leave it sitting there. Now, from what I understand, I'm not a professional cook, like I said, but from what I understand, you can burn garlic pretty quick and pretty easy, and that does not taste great. That's why they say to add it at the end after all the onions have gotten to a good spot so that you don't burn the garlic. So I'm gonna mix in the garlic now, move it around a little bit. I'm starting to smell it, like a really intense garlic aroma. It's an amazing aroma, by the way. And then now that you have this, it says 2 cans of low sodium chicken broth get added. Now it says 14.5-ounce cans. So what is that, 29? Oh wow, there's some motorcycle or something coming. That's like what, 29 ounces? So all I could find was this, the box or whatever. It's 32 ounces. So I'm just gonna dump the vast majority of this in and save a tiny bit so I can get to 29.5 ounces. There's just a little bit, there you go. I feel like there's like 0.3 ounces left. I think we're good. All right, we'll mix that up a little bit. Keep the heat on this whole time. And there's more ingredients we're supposed to be adding. First off, the green chilies. Well, like I mentioned, I don't quite have enough of them, but that's all right. So we'll add those. All right, next we wanna add 1.5 teaspoon of cumin. So this is a teaspoon here. There's 1 teaspoon and a half. This is smelling really good. We then wanna add 1/2 teaspoon of oregano leaves, like literally just the leaves of oregano, the dried ones. 1/2 teaspoon of that. Then we're gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, also known as paprika, right there. Add that in. Then we wanna add 1/2 teaspoon of coriander, ground coriander to the mix. We then want to add 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, which that's going to bring the spice. And then it says add salt and pepper to taste. There's a little salt and pepper that I've added in. It says freshly ground black pepper. Now let's mix that all up, get all the spices spread out in the liquid. The smell is really good, I'll tell you that much. So it says to bring it to a slight boil, so I'm gonna turn up the heat a hair and see if we can get it bubbling a little bit. Okay, so another thing it says to do is to use 2 cans of cannellini beans. And what you do with these 2 cans is you strain all the liquid out of them and then rinse them in your sink. So literally you pour it into like a colander or some sort of strainer, and then you wash them down with water to rinse them. So we got some bubbles on the edge, but we're not really boiling yet. I'm gonna bring it to a boil and then we're gonna reduce the heat. Okay, so we have a little bit of a boil here at this point. It's weird how it's like only boiling over in this corner. I've never seen such a thing. All right, so we're definitely boiling now. I'm gonna reduce the heat to a simmer. So I don't know, maybe like medium-low-ish. And we're gonna let that simmer for 15 minutes, hopefully to get less liquidy, I think is our goal here. And while that does that, we have some more prep work we gotta do. First of all, we've got this rotisserie chicken that I showed you before. I've got to pull all the meat off that, so I'm gonna bring it over to the cutting board and I'm going to drop it on there and do exactly what I said. I'm gonna pull all the meat off and hopefully you can see. Yeah, and so this will go into the chili soon, pretty soon. We've got a couple other things to do too. We gotta drain the beans. We got to get the meat here, and it says it calls for 2.5 pounds of meat. From what I understand, one rotisserie chicken has like 2 to 2.5 pounds in it, so just by de-meating this whole chicken, we should have enough chicken for the chili, I think. Although I could weigh it afterwards. Get some of the dark meat and some of the light meat. It's okay if a little skin gets in there probably, but I'm gonna try to get most of it off. I'm trying to not get any bones in this. People don't really like the taste of bones. Well, maybe some people do. Okay, and then the next step, I think I'm just gonna chop it up a little. Oops, I just dropped my beans. Because it says 2.5 cups of shredded chicken. It doesn't say chopped, but I'm gonna chop it a little bit because there's some big pieces and it's easier than shredding it, but you could totally just shred it too. I'm gonna use this same knife. I think it's okay. There we go. And now I can just kind of shred it apart a little too. So this is gonna be our 2.5 cups of chicken. There's some skin. Give that to my dog, she'll be excited. All right, so we got 2 cups of chicken ready as well. This is still simmering, this liquid. Let's take a look at it here. It's supposed to go 15 minutes. It's probably been about 5. So let it keep going. I'm gonna run inside. I'm going to drain these and rinse them and then I'll be right back. All right, so here's my strained beans. Now, it gives you an option here that you can do if you have a food processor, which as far as I can tell, I don't have one. It says you can take a cup of those beans, put them in the food processor to blend them, and then use, you know, the 1 cup of blended plus the rest, and it makes it a little more creamy. They said it's not required, but it is something you can do. So while we're measuring and prepping everything, the next thing we need is some corn. It says you can use frozen or fresh, I think. Is that what it says? Frozen or fresh corn. It wants 1.25 cups of this, so I'm just gonna dump it in here. Till I get 1.25 cups. Yeah, right about there. All right, so it's been about 15 minutes that this has been simmering, so we're gonna move on to the next step. And that next step is to add these beans we just strained. Ooh, there we go. Add the corn into the mix. Nope, they're sticking to the side because they're frozen. And they also want you to add 1 full thing of cream cheese, but it says to use Neufchâtel cheese, which I guess is another word for cream cheese. It says to use the 1/3 less fat. I'm not really sure why. I don't know if this is like watching your calories or something. Maybe that's why people eat white chicken chili. Maybe it's lower calorie. That would make sense. That could be the reason. So we're gonna stir that up. This cream cheese is not like melted or anything, so it's gonna have to melt in there. That's obviously gonna make it much creamier. Look at all those onions. Looks pretty good, guys. I'm pretty excited about it. A nice white chicken chili. Hey, maybe this can win the chili competition. You never know, you never know. Or if you just wanna be the one making the white chicken chili at the chili competition because you don't like normal chili, then this recipe is for you, right? This is your chance to shine and make a delicious white chicken chili. So this will stir well, and then once it stirs, you actually want it to simmer for another 5 to 10 minutes, which gives us a little time to do some more prep work. The chicken's still not going in yet. It's going in last with a few other ingredients that we have to prep. Okay, so what we want now is we want a tablespoon of fresh lime juice. That's gonna go in a minute when this simmers a little longer. It's not really bubbling anymore. Maybe I'll turn the heat up a hair. Again, with the hair. I gotta stop talking about hair when I cook. People don't like that. So turn it up a bit, how about? Let's say we'll turn it up a bit. And I'm trying to like squish in the cream cheese to make it melt a little quicker. But anyways, while that kind of simmers away, we're gonna cut this in half. We're gonna squeeze it and try to get a tablespoon of lime juice. We're also gonna get 2 tablespoons of fresh chopped cilantro that I'm gonna make. So let's do that. I mean, I'm not making the cilantro, but I am chopping it up. All right, so we're just chopping up this cilantro, and we want 2 tablespoons worth. Simple enough. We've all done this before. There's not much fanfare about it. Not much to talk about here, except if I cut myself. You know, I make sure to record just in case I do cut myself, so, you know, we can have a history of Dave chopping his fingers. There we go. That's more than enough. And then we chop up this lime as well. There we go. 1 tablespoon. Now I put my chicken in my cup here. So these are all going at the same time, so I'm just gonna add it into that. 2 tablespoons. Cool. I cut up way too much cilantro. Let's see, can we get our 1 tablespoon of lime juice? What's the best way to do this? Like this? Oh man, it doesn't seem like a very fresh lime, if I had to be honest with you. It's like rock hard. A rock hard lime. Check that out. You see this maneuver? And then I'm gonna squeeze the lime juice onto it. All right, so my lime ran out of juice, so I'm just gonna use the prepackaged lime juice to get me up to a tablespoon. There we go. Now I have a tablespoon of lime juice. That works. All right, so this is like kind of boiling, so I've turned it down again. I don't want it to boil, I just want it to simmer. Maybe that is a simmer. It was more of a boil than a simmer. It's probably been about 7 minutes since I added the cream cheese and the corn and all that. Definitely want to make sure they get nice and warm. See, some of the cream cheese hasn't even melted yet. Me stirring it might help. It's looking like white chicken chili. So I added a little more salt and pepper. Why? I don't know. I just felt like I should. You ever just feel like it needs more salt and pepper just by looking at it? That's how I felt, so I added it. This is starting to thicken up too. A lot of onion. I don't know if that's too much. Oh, you know what it is? It's because I'm using a slotted spoon, so everything's just pouring out of it. I should get a different, now it's on the floor. So I guess I'll definitely get a different spoon for when I serve it. All right, so now it's been about 10 minutes. We're gonna add in the chicken and the cilantro, like so. and that lime juice. Try not to spill the lime juice on my computer. There we go. All right, and now we're gonna stir that all together. I got a different spoon. This spoon has no slots in it, and it's also not been on the ground. So I call that a win-win victory. I'm gonna mix this all up. It doesn't really specify how long we're supposed to now cook it. It's already cooked for a good long while, so probably not that long, but we definitely need the chicken to get hot because the chicken isn't even hot. Yeah, this is looking like a fine white chicken chili, I'll tell you that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it like 5 minutes just to get the chicken nice and warm, and then we're gonna move the cameras over there and we're gonna try this and see if it really is the world's best white chicken chili. All right, I'm gonna grab the chili and bring it over here. Turned off the grill there, and there we go. Isn't that a beautiful sight? Let's stir it up. There we go, it looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited about this. And it looks nice and hot, and then we'll take our bowl and we will serve it to ourselves, because we're talking in the third person now. One, how many scoops is enough for one person? 3? I think 3. I think 4. I think that this is probably too much. All right, there's our white chicken chili, guys. Now I'm gonna put a little cheese on it, I think. This is just Monterey Jack is what the recipe calls for. And maybe a little more cilantro, like so. I also got some chips to like dip in it, but anyways, let's try this. Let's see if it really is the world's best white chicken chili. I'm pretty pumped about this. Oh, it's hot. Ooh. I got a drink because that was hot. That's really good. Let's try it with a chippy chip. I do love me some chips. It's really good with the chip too. My dog's barking. Molly, what are you doing? Stop barking. So the white chicken chili, I've been eating a bunch of it since I last spoke to you guys. My dog's been barking, so I've just been eating chili. It's really good. I think it's lower calorie than normal chili, but it actually tastes great, so I wouldn't be sad if this was served to me. As far as white chicken chili goes, I've only had it a few times at barbecue or chili cook-offs. This is kind of in line with it. Maybe it's a little bit better because I'm having it so fresh, but other than that, I think it's very similar to that. I would say this is a very, very good white chicken chili recipe, hence the 5-star reviews from like 752 people. I'm not sure what I could do to change it. I mean, one thing I might do is add a little more cayenne. It's not very spicy, and that might, you know, pop it up a little bit if you like spice. So anyways, it's a really good recipe. I recommend you try it. Thank you guys for joining me on World's Best Recipes today. Make sure you subscribe and check out some of my other videos, including my other chili videos, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.